everybody. It's Rob again. It's time for another Member Talks. We have a special guest with us today, Elaine Valdez. And you may not know her name, but I know if you've watched any sort of social media sites, especially Instagram, Facebook, those types of things, you've probably seen her. She is with Funeral Boss, Inc. Hey, Elaine, how are you today?
Hey, Rob, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this time and so excited to share so much with you guys today.
Yeah, absolutely. This is exciting because we actually just met for the first time 10 minutes before we hit the record button. But
Which I
it's
can't believe. I think we've all been at the same trade shows together over the
yeah,
last couple of years, and we probably walked right by each other.
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Well, if we ever get to have trade shows again, we can look for each other for sure.
Fingers crossed that they'll come back one day.
But we were talking before we started the program here, and we kind of have a same path, if you will, almost of how we got into the business. You come from a funeral background. Obviously, Funeral Boss Inc. has to do with funeral, but you're not just somebody that said, "Hey, here's an idea.
No.
I can run with this," because there's nothing else out there. You actually have the funeral background. You're a funeral director. Is that
Yes,
right?
so yeah, so I started when I was very young in the profession, which believe it or not, which I think for a lot of us, it wasn't a chosen path for me in the beginning. I didn't wake up and grow up to want to be a funeral director or in this
Yeah.
industry at all. It was something that was introduced to me. And I'm forever thankful for it because of the one who brought me into this was a longtime family friend of ours. I was in school at the time. I wanted to be a teacher. And I get a call one day from our family friend, and he says, "Hey, you want a job?" And I thought, sure, I'll take a job. Here I am, young, I was a young mom. I was in college trying to figure out how to get this education to be a teacher. And he said, okay, well, I need a secretary. So I'm thinking easy enough, answer some phones and type. But little did I know, even a secretary in a funeral home is thrown into the mix, like it or not.
Yeah. Yes.
You have to be able to help when the help is needed. So, gosh, before you knew it, I just fell in love with the profession and I wanted to know more. I wanted to learn more. And I ended up being able to learn every avenue of the business. And I ended up dedicating almost 15 years of my life to it. So
Wow.
it's been a journey. And we were a small firm. There was only 4 of us full time, but we did almost 500 calls a year. So
Amazing.
we kept on the go almost every day of the week.
Well, that's great. Let's talk a little bit about Funeral Boss. Where did this concept come from? Funeral Boss Inc. Because like I said at the beginning, we've seen you on Facebook, we've seen you on Instagram, and all of a sudden there wasn't anything. There was no Funeral Boss Inc. And the next thing you know, it's everywhere.
It's
It's all over the place.
everywhere. so
Where did this come from?
so I've had the concept for a very long time in mind, and what I did notice was that there'd be times where I wanted to buy, some funny mugs or a cool T-shirt, something for my team that I worked with at the time at
Mhm.
the funeral home, but there was very limited, options available online, and but I just was never at a point in my life where I can dedicate the time needed to kind of create a brand and just kind of, give all the attention it needed. So I finally got to a point where I was able to do it. And I remember trying to think of a name. And what my goal was is I wanted to create something that would help empower people, kind of make them feel like a boss. You hear that term all the time. And I think it's so important for anyone in this profession to realize, how important they are. And I say it time and time again. I don't know if anyone can have enough credit, for what they do in this profession every day. They have long days, long nights, and I think it's important for them to feel, like they're a funeral boss because they're so needed. They're so needed in their community, and I think it's awesome to be able to give them something to be able to proudly wear, a cool
Yeah.
T-shirt or just a funny mug to laugh with, colleagues with. So, I made it happen, and I've dedicated a lot of time to building the brand, and I think on social media, it takes a lot. You have to be consistent. You have to post all the time. You have to make sure your content is engaging so that your people can kind of give their feedback or kind of laugh along with you. And it's taken a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy trying to stay on top of the social media. There's so many different outlets, so many different platforms, and how do you pick the right ones? How do you operate within the right ones? And what's your clientele going to be based off of the social media sites that you go to? It's really a science to
You
pick
know,
the right place to go.
it really is, and I think we were talking about this earlier. What do you focus on? Do you give more attention to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, now TikTok? You don't know if it's going to be here or it's going away. But I think where I've had the most success thus far is on Instagram, and I my personal opinion is because all of us are so on the go all the time. So Instagram allows you to create something quick where they can do a funny little poll and they can kind of vote with you or let you know if they like something. But Facebook too Facebook's been my number two. I'm still learning how to really use YouTube, and I've actually reached out to one of our brand ambassadors who has her own channel and asking her, hey, can you give me some tips? Can you help me out here?
Yeah.
So hoping to build the YouTube very soon. But yeah, it's definitely, there's a little science to it. You got to keep consistent as much as you can.
Now, where do you, is it, I'm assuming you have a team of people. Maybe it's you. I don't know. But where do you come up with the concepts? I mean, I'm looking through, as we're talking, I'm kind of scrolling through some of the different sites that you have. The casket and pizza hat, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Funeral Hefe, all
Yeah.
sorts of different. I mean, where does this come from? Is this just all
So
spring forth from you, or is this
believe
someone
it or
else that
not,
helped?
yeah, it's all my mad mind. I'm the creative, I guess you can call it somewhat of a genius behind it all. Anything I think of that's kind of savvy or funny, even content wise, and I always try to make it a point to create something funny for people to just kind of have a laugh with.
Sure.
I create everything myself. So I do have a team that helps me, behind the scenes with like, emails, order processing. But anything creative wise, it's me. I'm the one who takes care of all that. What I have been so fortunate to be able to do, which just started this year, is I was able to add on brand ambassadors. So what I did was I just kind of posted one day saying, hey, if anyone's interested in kind of, representing the brand, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
And I was overwhelmed with the amount of, women, especially women in death care, who wanted to be a part of the team, so to say. And so I've gotten so many emails, and I had to kind of cut it off at a certain amount because at the end of the day, too, we're a small niche market, right? So I don't want people to feel like, oh, another brand ambassador for her. But right now I have 28 brand ambassadors, and
Wow.
we have such a fun chat going on Instagram. Every single day we're checking in with each other, just kind of needing encouragement sometimes or sharing a funny story. But we've built like our own little community, and it's been so awesome. It's been so awesome. So I
Now,
really
your brand
appreciate them.
ambassadors, you said they're mostly women. I noticed in the advertisements or the different posts, they're mostly women. Do
Yeah.
you have men brand ambassadors?
You know,
You know what I'm trying to say?
yeah, yeah.
Brand ambassadors. That's a tough one.
Yeah, brand ambassadors. So no, we don't have any men. So what's so funny is
Ah,
I had only had one gentleman reach out to me who was interested, and I sent him the survey, but he never got back to me. So I don't know
oh,
if I scared him
well,
away.
my goodness.
Yeah, but no, but I mean, I definitely, I think the brand itself empowers, women in our
Sure.
profession to feel a little more, confident and positive. But we have amazing male followers as well, so we embrace everybody. I love them all. We appreciate everybody. So
Well, you've got some pretty unique stuff on here, stuff that I'm guessing will only be found on Funeral Boss Inc. Some of the different things that you've come up with, just the mortuary science. I'm looking at a sweatshirt here. It says mortuary science. You've got phone cases and tumblers, and
yeah,
then you go to the next page over, and you're talking. You've got the meowtician with the
yeah.
cat. I mean, it's
You know,
just
and
all sorts of stuff.
What's so funny is I remember when I first started Funeral Boss, the only product that I had in mind to start with was the pendants. It was
Hmm.
the idea of just a small little pendant that said, funeral director or mortician or mortuary science or death care. And that was what I started with. That was my very first product. And then the need just grew to people saying, what about this? What about that? And I had to
Yeah.
teach myself on how to make all of this available. But I also wanted to dedicate, products to everybody, every piece of the puzzle in our profession, right? Because there's so many people who play such a key role in our day to day, right? So I didn't want them to feel less important if I didn't have a shirt that said, future mortician, or
Sure.
they're currently in school, so they're so proud because they're working their butts off, trying to get these exams done and getting on to the next level. And then you get the director who's been in this profession for 20 plus years, so I wanted to try to cater to everybody in every stage. And you even have people who are aspiring who, watch
Mhm.
these influencers we have in our profession, and they just get so motivated to want to know more, or maybe change their avenue of what they're currently setting into getting into our profession. And we
Sure.
all kind of joke about it sometimes, say, no, run, don't do it. Because we know how tough it can be. But I mean, to even know that you can really encourage somebody to want to do this, that's a big deal. So I do my best to try to make everything very diverse so that people feel like there's something for them on there. And I
Right.
think we have over 500 products on the website. So it's easy to
Amazing.
try to find something for yourself on there.
Yeah. I'm looking at the worst death care jokes of all time on here. These actually, some of them still make me laugh, but you don't have the most famous one of putting the fun in funeral, which to me, with everything else you have, that is, you're the epitome of that.
Yeah.
Putting the fun in funeral.
Yeah,
That's
I
got to
guess I'm
be
going
out
to
of
have
your
to make
shirt.
a new version of it. Another thing that I thought would be funny to make was the worst things you hear at a funeral, right, from
Oh
the
yeah,
family. Because we
yeah.
always joke about that, like, gosh, if you hear it, like, we only see each other at weddings and funerals, and we hear that one more time, But I always try to get ahead of the curve and try to, you know,
Yeah.
keep something fun and new in the radar for everybody.
Well, let me switch gears on you a little bit because you've kind of taken the whole Funeral Boss Inc. and it started, from what you've told me, it's it's fun, it's exciting, it's new stuff, it's great to put it out there. Um, I'm excited for it. I think let this
Thank
thing
you.
keep growing. I think it's wonderful. But you've kind of taken another step. You took another approach and you created a foundation, a nonprofit foundation. Um, tell us about that, because that I've been watching that kind of grow as well, and
Thank
that's kind of
you.
amazing that
Oh
you did
man,
this.
it's funny because I remember the day I filed for it. I remember sitting. I was home alone, and I just remember sitting, and I kind of got teary eyed because I thought,
Hmm.
okay, we're officially going to be legit with this foundation, and I was finally able to share it with everybody because, a big part of Funeral Boss was, yes, of course, the fun stuff, right? We can offer people, but I always wanted to get to a point where I can give back. And I remember making that a big part of my, front page of the website. When people got on, it was, I want to grow the brand so that I can give back. And a big reason for that was because I felt like all the years that I had been in the profession, you know, it, now I feel so old, but it's, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 7 years ago, you couldn't find like a support system online as easy as you can
Yeah,
now. Right now, you just search and you find an amazing group on Facebook, or you find a funeral boss online that you could kind of understand someone that they're what they're talking about. But I didn't have that, and there was a lot I feel like I could have learned or benefited from if I had it available to me.
hmm,
So I see so many amazing, like, courses online, or just different, shows that maybe people want to attend. Now, if we're going to do the virtual approach, but maybe they're not able to attend because maybe their work can't, provide them that opportunity, but they're interested. I want people to be able to reach out to us so maybe we can make that happen for them. Or if
sure,
somebody's starting school and they're struggling with just trying to pay their books, or they're short for this or short for that, I want to make it an opportunity for us to be able to help. So there's two parts to our fund. So the first part is it's dedicated to anyone in our profession that is looking to either grow their knowledge or needs support on their path. And the second part to that is our angel fund. So
Mm.
I had shared a story on the podcast about a family, a mom who lost her little baby girl, and she didn't have the money to pay for her baby's cremation. And
Right.
there are some firms that will do it for free, but then there are others that can't afford to do that. So there is a cost associated with interment for a baby. So she was so ashamed that she couldn't pay that she had abandoned her baby with us. And eventually, of course, we went forward with cremation, which were the wishes of the mom originally.
Hmm.
And she came back a year later because she finally had the money to pay. But I thought, I want to be able to be known one day to say, you know what, a family that's struggling, call Funeral Boss, they'll help you. They have a foundation for that. So
Sure.
we would love to grow it to just be just a kind of an extended olive branch to whoever needs us, and especially moms of a child or father of a baby, parents. There's a portion of our funds dedicated to helping those families.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, everybody struggles with that. Every funeral home that we know has families that come in, and it's difficult. And it's,
Hmm.
I mean, we are in the business of providing service, but the first part of that statement is we're in the business, and we have to
Yes.
remain in business to be able to
Hmm.
provide that.
Yeah.
And so, we have to generate those funds, and which means we have to charge. But
Hmm.
it's never fun, especially when we're talking about a baby
Yes.
that's passed. And there's so many people out there struggling right now, especially out of
Oh
work due
yeah.
to COVID and just for whatever other reasons. So, what a blessing to be able to have an outlet in Funeral Boss, that you guys as a team would come together and say, you know what, there's a very strong need here, and we can fulfill this need. Is
That's
this
our goal.
a program that is nationwide? Is this a program specific to
It
your
is.
state?
No. So that's one thing too that we've been so fortunate to have a following across the nation. We even have a following in Italy, in Canada. I just, it blows my mind sometimes to know how many people that we've been able to connect with within our network alone. So I'm extending this within the United States because it's easier for us to be able to, send funds to whoever needs
Hmm.
it. But nationwide, it's definitely something that we opened up nationwide to everybody. So um,
Yeah.
and the biggest part too about the foundation is um, every sale that we get from Funeral Boss, we put a percentage of that into the fund. So whether you know it or not, you're contributing. So I
Yeah.
really thankful to anybody who ever could, whether you buy, you know, a postcard on our site or you buy a T-shirt or a mug. We're putting a small percentage toward the fund for every purchase, and we have some really fun fundraisers coming up, so we can help build the foundation a little larger. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. So maybe we get you guys involved or
Yeah,
just give us
absolutely.
a shout out. Something to get some more
Absolutely.
recognition going for it.
Well, we'd love to support you in that, and watch this continue to grow,
Thank
and
you.
see how that plays out. So, tell me a little bit about, since how we're doing this too, and it seems like everybody's doing this. Your podcast. You started a podcast, and
Yes.
Funeral Boss, the podcast, Funeral Boss
Mm-hmm.
Inc. Podcast. It's been fun. You got a few shows out there now, a few
Yeah.
episodes, and
We just
you know,
started month two. We just started month two,
yeah,
so we're pretty new with it.
it's kind of fun, isn't it?
Oh man. So it's funny because, I'm in a point now where I'm a little safer, so to say, to be able to speak about things that I've experienced, right, in the
Mm,
profession all those years. And you can imagine, Rob, you know how long you've been in the profession, how
yeah,
many stories we have, how many experiences we've had. Um, but I'm in a position now where I have that flexibility because I'm not tied to a funeral home right now. So I can have that. And I know there's so many people that have stories that want to share, but they just can't, because it
mm,
may come back to them or they may get in trouble with their boss. But I'm able to do that. And I made it a point to to just hit the ground running with it. And I've shared some of my most memorable stories. And what I wanted to do as well is always respect, the decedent, their family. I never mention names. I just always say the story. But what I did is, I think the hardest part of it all was just recording, finding time to
Yeah.
sit down and record an episode, which they're all real short. I don't have anything over 15 minutes per show,
Hmm.
which I'm working on because the feedback I got from the followers is like, they want more. They want it to be longer. So I have to work on that. But yeah, it's the first month we hit over 1,500 streams,
Wow.
and which I was excited about. I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, this is awesome, and you can only learn to get better, right? You really
Yeah.
can just get better with every episode you do, or have a lineup of amazing people who are going to be on the podcast within the next couple weeks. So I'm really excited about that, and my goal is just to reach people and get people connected, and just kind of give everyone a good story for the day, and Rob, people are on the go, so they want a podcast. They want something to just push play, or they're driving, they can listen to, or a quick listen.
That's the nice part about it is you can actually, we do this on YouTube as well, and that's where we got our start. But so many requests to say, let's put it into podcast. So while we're sitting in the prep room embalming, we can listen to it,
That's
or
true,
driving
yeah.
down the road, or whatever we're doing. I had a guy
That's
tell
for
me the
sure.
other day he was sitting at a service listening to it while the service was going on, and I'm thinking, well, that's really cool, but I hope you get the right cue to get out there and close the
that's
service in time.
that's the magic to it all, is the cue, when
Yeah,
okay, when they're gonna do communion, that means you're about to wrap up.
yeah. I was joking with them. I said, if I know you're doing that, I'm going to start throwing a few amens in there just to see if you can
Yeah.
see if you pay attention or
Save
not.
himself, yeah.
Well,
That's
Elaine,
funny.
how do we get in touch with you? I mean, we can go on to Funeral Boss, but tell us, give us the website, and how do we get in touch with you for that, as well as the foundation?
Sure. So we have a website. So it's just funeralbossinc.com. We go on there. We even have tabs that kind of specify, if you want more info just on the foundation, you hit the foundation tab. You want info on the podcast, there's a quick little tab there. Or if you just want to browse the collection, you could do that too. So all of that's on our website. You could find us on Instagram. That's where we have our most followers. We just hit over 10,000
Oh my
last
goodness!
month. So that was huge for me.
Wow.
That was a personal goal I had, and I remember being almost in tears for that too. Always
Yeah.
crying for something, right? But they're happy tears. They're happy tears. But Instagram at Funeral Boss Inc. Let's see, Facebook. We're working on being a little more active on Twitter and YouTube. We're working toward that. We're on TikTok. Goals to make more
My
TikTok
goodness.
videos. And our podcast, I think the most popular channel that we're on right now is Spotify.
Hmm.
So just waiting to be available on Apple. I'm still kind of pending on that, but yeah.
That one takes a while. That one's
It
a couple
does.
weeks.
The demand is high to be on there.
We got on
But
there. We were lucky enough, but we haven't hit iHeart yet. We're still waiting on
oh,
iHeart.
our goals, huh? We'll get there. We'll get there. But I wanted to make a special promo for anyone that's a part of the association. So if you guys want to go to the site and shop anything, just use a special promo code that'll get you 20% off. So it's just going to be the abbreviation of the state association, so WSFDA 20, and that will
Ah,
get you 20% off when you check out. So enjoy. It's a little something, and we appreciate you guys.
that is super cool. Thank you for that. I know we'll go on there and find a few items for sure.
Yeah,
Take advantage of
just wait
that.
for the new version of the worst funeral jokes
Yeah, yeah.
T-shirt
Make sure you put by Rob at the
by
bottom.
Rob.
And amended because Rob wanted it.
There you. That's what we'll call it, the amended version.
That's funny. Well, Elaine Valdez from Funeral Boss Inc. What a privilege. It's been so much fun to talk with you today, and to get to know you a little bit. I hope we can get you back out here, maybe do it
Thanks,
a year
Rob.
from now, and see if
Oh
that
gosh.
10,000 has gone to 20,000. Wouldn't
Fingers
that be cool?
crossed. I
Yeah,
hope so. So that would be the goal for within a year. We want to have 20,000 followers, and we want to have real conventions back.
yeah, yeah. No kidding. No
Right?
kidding. We're already gearing up for our state convention. We had to cancel it like everybody else, but we're making plans for it, and we already got our planes booked for national. So hopefully
Nice.
we can get to national next year too.
Oh, I hope so too. Well, thank you
Yeah,
for all you do too. I know it's a lot of work trying to get these scheduled and done. So I appreciate you guys extending the invitation. I couldn't be happier. So thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Elaine Valdez, Funeral Boss Inc. Wonderful. Go on, check it out. Use the promo code and go get you some pretty cool stuff to have. Coffee mugs, water tumblers, shirts, masks, and you even got the masks, the
I got the
COVID
mask.
mask.
You got to give the people what they want.
That's it.
Well, not that they want the mask, but they ask for them.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, they
Well,
have
thank you,
listeners.
Elaine. It's been a
Thank
pleasure
you.
getting you on here. And again, if you are interested, check out her site, Funeral Boss Inc. And until then, we'll talk with you all soon. Bye, everybody.